Okay, on the bench today have a Sansui D990R cassette deck. Kind of a unique looking cassette deck. Haven't worked on one of these before. I've been in this already. I know what the issue is. I have at least part of the service manual here to explain what the repair is going to, the procedures look like. I'll kind of show you what's going on. Honestly, it's just an issue of a melted belt. So look down in here, I can see the capstan flywheel, and if I spin it, I see a belt that's stuck to it. So, yep, melted belt. Let's see if I can pull some of it out. And what happened was the belt got stuck and it's wrapped itself all around the motor, the flywheels, and all that stuff. It does not appear as though it's on any of the plastic gearing, but I'll have to get in there and see if that's true. So here are the instructions. I'm probably going to have to reference the service manual to get in and see what the specific details are in terms of removing the mechanism, but this appears to be kind of a standard pop the mechanism out and pop the mechanism out, which is never as easy as that sounds. Take that out and get back behind here. Probably have to remove all of these clips and so anyway, I'm going to speed through, fumbling through this. If I have anything of note to share, I will do that. Hopefully I have a belt that fits this. If not, I may have to order it. But let's get into this thing and see how much trouble it's going to be. So in following the directions, it says cut 2 wire bands. Okay, maybe this one and this one? I don't know. I'm going to leave them intact for right now, but I may have to cut this one and this one. I don't know why, but I may have to do that. So anyway, I just wanted to point out that little thing in the instructions that's not particularly helpful. So another instruction here, unfasten 2 connectors from the 4354 circuit board. And I don't see a 4354 circuit board marked. 47, 52, 57. If it's this big one, I mean there are connectors all over here, so I'm not sure, but I don't see a mark on the big board. At least on that side. So anyway, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see where 4354 is. I may have to get into the service manual and look at it. It's 52. This has 2 connectors, but I don't know. So anyway, more fun with this set of instructions. So hopefully I can figure that out. Probably through the course of taking this apart, I'll figure out what it's talking about. You know, I thought when I had the instructions this might be a little bit easier, but I guess not. Remove the front panel assembly. Okay. Remove front panel assembly. How would you like me to do that? This doesn't slide out. There's something preventing it from sliding out of here. And I can't see what that something is. Is there a screw? Is that screw maybe holding something in? I don't think it is. Can you feel it coming on? Can you feel the frustration coming on? Like, what is going on here? Why don't you want to come out? Thinking they're, I don't know. Good job, Sansui. Good job. Pull out the eject knob with spring after arranging lengthwise. What does that even mean? I don't know. Let's just skip these and see if we can get to the next step. Remove side panel, the left side panel. What the instructions did not mention is that this knob kind of holds the faceplate on. And the way it's cut out, it looked like it would just slide right over it. So I think I've got it probably apart enough to where I can get to the rest of these. So there's the eject tab with spring. Remove the side panel. I think it's these two screws here. Maybe an additional screw. I don't see any other screws. Maybe one on the back. Let's see. Yep, one on the back. Yeah, you know what's funny? Like remove the side panel left or side pane left, 3 screws or 4 screws. I mean, you got line, you got room there. I just get to add that little bit of additional instruction. I don't want this to go flying, so let me put it over here. Loosen 2 screws. S. Thank you. Loosen 2 screws fixing channel and F4354 circuit board to remove mechanism assembly. Don't know what that means. Again, I don't know what board they're talking about there. Is it these 2 screws? Let's see what that does. Well, sort of, but there are 4 screws that are holding that assembly in place. Oh well, let me, you don't need to hear me think this thing through or take a lot of time on it, so let's see what I need to do here. Alright, so that's out. Yeah, I don't know that these instructions were spot on with what I actually had to do, but now I think it's pretty straightforward, but I will look at the instructions and see what they ask me to do. I've got 20 minutes into this so far, so I mean time-wise this isn't to this point too bad. I've certainly had cassette decks. I have a Pioneer CTF 1250, the big one, and I rebuilt that, and that thing took forever. I'm talking like hours and hours and hours of labor. Looks like maybe there's one more screw somewhere here. It's probably on the front. Yeah, it looks like maybe there's one on the front. Hey, you know what? You got the instructions. Why don't you follow them? I don't know. So let's get into this. Let me get back into the instructions and see how to remove that. Alright, so you kind of saw me wrestling with this. Here are the flywheels. And I can feel resistance, so they probably have the little tiny plastic washers on the front that I'm going to have to account for. And there is goo all over everything. So let me do these one at a time. Yep, I heard the washer fall. Man, that's... I don't know what they made these belts out of, but they are gross. Just kind of wipe this or soak this with some alcohol. Clean these off. And this stuff is horrible, and you got to be really careful because it will go all over, and you get it on your shoes, and you track it in your garage, possibly in your house. So you got to be real careful to watch where these little chunks of old belt go flying. And this stuff is just, I mean, it's like tar. And then sometimes it'll stain the flywheels. This one looks like it's mostly coming off, but I've had them in the past where the it'll leave a dark kind of see that stain right there. I don't know if that'll come off or not. Yeah, it looks like it's coming off. But I've had it to where I've scrubbed it, and I've tried to get some like steel wool to remove it, and it just doesn't come off. You can only get it so far, it seems. So there's that flywheel. And then there's another one that's locked in place. I may not remove this one because I think I can slide a belt in the little opening there, so I will peel this old belt off and try to clean it. Yeah, that's the old belt. Just horrible. Well, this is going to be kind of boring. Watch me just clean this off, so let me speed through this. Couldn't figure out where this one went. Alright, so I'm gonna put this faceplate, just kind of attach it with these 3 screws for right now, and make sure that before I go too much further, that the mechanism is working. Okay. Fingers crossed. Power off. Power on. Belt's running, so that's good. Or belt's running. Motor's running. Belt is staying attached, so that's good. Display is good. Rewind is good. Stop is not working. Play is not working. Alright, so we got some more stuff to figure out here. I'm thinking it is this motor here in this worm gear is probably out of position. I didn't do anything with that, but I've got some there. So there it moved. It's moving. Not sure why stop doesn't want to work. Maybe the faceplate wasn't in all the way. All right, well, I've got some... Oh, there it plays. There it's playing. All right, maybe the... Maybe I just don't have it buttoned up enough. So let me continue putting this back together, and then I'll test it again. All right, I think we're good. Clocked in just a minute over an hour, right? So 61 minutes. But working fine. Forward, rewind, auto reverse. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Was this auto reverse? Oh, now that's interesting. All right. I need to check out the operation of this thing and make sure. But that should definitely be playing the other side of the tape if I'm reversing it, I would assume. So anyway, let's see what's going on with that. Huh, interesting. So maybe I'm not done. Let's see what's going on with that. Hopefully there's enough light to see down in here, but make it a little bit brighter. So what is supposed to happen, and what I'm guessing is not happening, here's the head, and this is supposed to turn around when reverse is engaged, and that's not happening. Now, I'm going to make sure that something did not become disconnected or misaligned underneath, but for whatever reason, that head is not doing what it's supposed to do. So I think if I maybe manually do that, put the tape in, sorry for the shaky cam, put the tape in, do reverse. Yeah, it's playing in the proper direction now, but it's very muffled. Now see if I do play. Yeah. So that's what's going on. So I need to look at that and see what that's all about. Well, I got the transport back out again. And here's what's going on. And the problem is I don't understand why or what's missing, but this little lever here is supposed to spin that head around. So here's the head. So here's what's not happening. That head's not spinning around, right? This head should spin back and forth like that. Hit auto reverse, spins it around. This lever here, I got to be careful because this head wants to slide out. This lever here with the teeth, this lever here contacts the bottom of the head, and the teeth should interface with some kind of gear that should be wrapped around there. But this is just a smooth piece of metal. So I don't know if that has fallen off at some point in time, if it's disintegrated, but there's nothing to make that head spin around. Right? There's nothing making contact to where that head will spin around, which I think is really, really odd. I'm going to check the bench here to make sure there's there's nothing that looks like a gear. But if you look at it, it wouldn't have fallen out or off because there are wires that go around the housing, right? So if it's a complete circle, it wouldn't go anywhere. It would stay on these. So, and judging by the state of the belts, this probably hasn't been played in who knows how long. So that's just very interesting. And the schematic does not show a part that goes there. And there's nothing kind of floating around the bench. But again, it wouldn't have fallen off because it would have been captive, kind of held in place by the wires. So that's really weird. So anyway, I'm going to look at this for a little bit, but that's what's going on. That's why it won't reverse. It's kind of bizarre. Well, I don't know what happened to that gear, but it is gone. Like that little lever. So there's a lever that flips the head around. There's a little gear that's supposed to be on the bottom of this kind of barrel that the head sits on, and that little gear that the teeth of that lever mesh with to spin the head around, there's no evidence of it. It's like gone. I rewatched the video to see if maybe something came off, or maybe when I took it apart some plastic fell out or something like that. When I zoom in on the bottom of the transport, I did not see any, I didn't see a gear, right? So as I had it flipped over and I was messing with the belts, there was no gear, at least as far as I could tell watching the video. Even, doing a screenshot and zooming in. Plus, as mentioned, because that gear would slide over the barrel, that gear would be kind of like a donut, and it would stay stuck on the wires going to the bottom of the head. At least, unless it was slotted or something. But if you're dealing with a slotted round gear, I don't know how likely it is that that is going to work its way free and pop off of those wires without me noticing something. But I searched I searched the floor, I searched the bench. I don't see anything anywhere that looks remotely close to a gear. I tried, I was looking to see if maybe a twist tie could be placed around that little barrel, and if that would have the desired effect of turning the head around. That's not going to work. It's a very specific part that's just gone. So I'm going to have to get with the owner, let the owner know what's going on with that, to see what the next steps will be, if they even want to repair that. I mean, it plays perfectly fine forward. It's just if you hit reverse, that head may get out of alignment and it may sound muffled until you go in and manually kind of move the head back into position. I might be able to put something in a spot to where it doesn't spin. It'd have to be like a little piece of tape or something, which isn't ideal, but yeah, so that's what I thought was going to be an easy repair wound up being kind of a pain in the butt, which, if that didn't happen more often than it should, this hobby would be enjoyed by a lot more people. So I mean, it's playing perfectly fine. Sounds great. It sounds great forward. It's just reverse. If I do reverse, it plays the music backwards. And it starts to try to kind of move the head just from the action of that lever kind of moving everything around. So anyway, I'm going to call this one good for now, see what the owner wants to do, but unfortunately there's really not much we can do. It's kind of a bummer. But yeah, so I'm going to clean the heads and calibrate it. There's a pitch control in the front, which is really neat with a cassette deck like this. So yeah. Anyway, if this is the last you see of it, that means the owner was comfortable with just replacing the belts and getting a couple of more years out of this. If you see it again, that means we found a part or we found a solution for that problem. So anyway, if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.